Skateboarding culture was inescapable in the late 90s to early 2000s. You had The Simpsons, Spyro the Dragon, even Metal Gear Solid, capitalising on this cultural shift. At the time I did not really care about sports, often spending my days, well I don't know, probably pissing my pants and watching Bob the Builder. But once I got old enough to care about sports, I still didn't care about sports, but there were a lot of sport related video games. I didn't care about those either. I mean, skateboarding is probably just some fad like Battle Royales or that time we all choked on cinnamon, and I bet that the games based on those sports were probably just soulless cash grabs supposed to capitalise on a trend. Well, I was surprised to learn that it was actually a game that caused this cultural paradigm shift, from a series I only knew about through cultural osmosis. Let's take a look on the show where I look at games I didn't grow up with to determine if they still hold up today. Welcome to Nostalgia. The game opens with live action footage that really helps you feel enveloped in the world of skateboarding, giving you this almost time capsule-like feel of the attitude, look and style of the late 90s. It almost helps distract you from the in-game graphics.
No.
Okay, I'm not going to sit here and just dog on the PlayStation 1's visuals. With other games, I'd love to talk about artistic intent or graphical fidelity, but in Tony Hawk Pro Skater, it is all about the gameplay, which I was shockingly bad at. The first level you're thrown into looks simple, small, yet that's kind of the point. Anything more complex would come across as overwhelming. I think designing any control scheme for a skateboarding game was facing an uphill battle. I was worried that it would be like some fighting game where I'd have to memorise hundreds of inputs. Thankfully, this is simplified into flip, grab and grind tricks, being assigned to specific buttons, which is used in conjunction with the D-pad to perform specific moves. So it seems pretty easy, right? Just go up and down a half pipe and spam buttons till you win? First you've got to actually land the tricks, otherwise it won't count, but also your points get reduced every time you use the same trick, so variety is key. Just getting points in a game rarely is euphoric to me. Put me behind a Space Invaders cabinet and I'll be on it for a whole 30 seconds. But skateboarding is different. It's a transformative, constantly evolving art form. 10 people can play a Tony Hawk game 10 completely different ways, and as long as you get your desired score, it is up to the player on how they want to do it, which is the beautiful freedom of Tony Hawk. There's a spontaneity to how you want to approach each goal without being forced to tackle them in a specific way, which is not only addictive, but endlessly replayable. There are 5 goals to be carried out per level, with no specific order or limited attempts to complete them. The only restriction is a 2-minute timer. This commitment to flexible progression adds almost a dynamic difficulty set by the player. I wanted to complete as many tasks in one run as I can, and I want to get as high a score as possible. Only 2 minutes may seem limiting to some, but I believe it keeps the experience focused. Removing said timer would only trivialise the gameplay. With this limitation, performing a high score can be challenging. Combos will end as soon as you touch the floor, so stringing together big combo lines are almost impossible. The best way to increase your points are with the special moves. Once your meter is filled, there are unique tricks that you can perform that are different for each skater. However, the big air moves might be a bit too effective. I'll attempt something stylish whilst exploring, then I'll just give up and find a vert ramp to go up and down with till I get the score I need. Which honestly felt in direct opposition to how I wanted to play, exploring the whole level in large combos using various grinds and flip tricks. In fact, if it wasn't for the other goals, I doubt I would have explored much of these at all, which is a shame because these are expertly crafted levels. Part of the appeal of Tony Hawk for me is seeing these regular locations reimagined as a vessel for racking up points. Just like in real life, you can skate on pretty much anything, but only in a video game Would I want to go to school, a shopping mall, or just outside? If the level design doesn't allow you to create memorable combo lines, it does not matter how solid the gameplay is. Needing to strike a balance between looking like a real location, whilst also being functional as a skate park. San Francisco is a map that shows why this balance is so important. Whilst it does look like its namesake, it is hard to rack up a good combo, with goals and skateable objects like half pipes seemingly thrown in at random. Contrast this with a level like School, where the placement of the skate letters guide you towards a pool to finish racking up combos, creating a natural feeling line to follow. You can set these levels in as diverse places as you want, but if it's not fun to skate, then what's the point? The competition levels excel at having tight, compact designs. I don't find these as interesting to skate from a visual standpoint, but they serve their purpose of the competition, where you have a minute to rack up as high a combo as possible 3 times in a row to get a medal. The most divisive places to skate are by far the downhill levels, being Downhill Jam and the Mall. Downhill is definitely the word I'd use. They're designed like what I'm going to call a fun funnel, or a funnel if you want to be clever about it. When you start the level, it's like, budge me with your walking, bring me with your talking, I am the ambassador, I'll kick your ass there. But then towards the end of the level, it's like, there is a race driver, so goddamn fast. I do enjoy these more than most people do, but they are way more interesting at the start of the level than they are at the end. Getting at least bronze in the competitions will reward you with a bail montage video. Wow, because I really want to try skateboarding now that I know my balls aren't safe from being destroyed. Getting gold in all the competitions will reward you with a video dedicated to whatever skater you decided to choose. I love this. I feel almost more invested in these characters because I can see that they're real people doing real tricks. And I doubt I'll ever forget names like Chad Muska, Bob Burnquist, or the Birdman himself. This adds such a bold personality that is lost on your FIFAs or your Maddens, where the real people are just stats on a card. I mean, Chad Muska just casually whips out a bloody boombox. Getting all the tapes does give you a bonus character, which is not a real skater, Officer Dick. Beating the game as him will get you a video of the developers actually skateboarding. I've got to say, seeing all this fun, passion, and in some cases, actual skill proves that they couldn't have picked a better team to helm the series, and the love that they poured in definitely shows. To be honest, I think the first Tony Hawk Pro Skater game is a banger that's only held back by its simplicity. It almost feels like something is missing. I mean, it's quite easy to miss something because you're not taught anything, especially when it comes to special moves. I mean, they could have just added a tutorial or added some sort of manual to the game so you could see your tricks. They could have just added a manual to the game. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 introduces a trick called the manual. It allows you to do this, okay? And, well, the manual is easily the most important move added to the entire series, as it is the glue that holds your tricks together. No longer are you restricted to small combos. As long as you can keep doing manuals, which get more difficult to balance the more you do them, you can keep stringing together a monstrous amount of points. Only when coming down from a ramp can you not pull one off. Being encouraged to build these higher scores really creates this risk-reward, tense, one more trick mentality that just hooks the player. Keep going, come on.
Oh no!
As you can see, the score goals have been increased, and in fact, the number of goals in general have doubled. In addition to the usual suspects, goals have been added to incentivise certain tricks. Nose grinding a rail, kick flipping over a building. I mean, I didn't even know wall riding was a thing until School 2, where I had to destroy these bells. These extra things to do aren't just some excuse to pad out the game's length. Instead, these become so much more densely packed. There was definitely the opportunity to just make these levels absolutely huge, and just slap that on front of a box and sell all the copies. But as any insecure man would know, it's not about the size, it's how you use it. Now take a look at the hangar compared to the warehouse. At first glance, they seem pretty similar. However, when you're collecting stuff, you'll notice a secret area. That gets you thinking, well, if I can grind this, maybe something will happen when I grind on top of the helicopter. Well, that gets you another secret area. This is the invisible way in which the game teaches the mechanics to the player. I mean, look at this bell. Well, I've got to wall ride the bell for a goal, but what is this cache doing above it? And how am I going to get it? Can I jump after a wall ride? Well, yes you can. This conveyance through item placement shows why collectibles can be better utilised than just randomly placed on a map. There were some secret areas in the first game, but there was nothing rewarding you from exploring. Often in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, you're given large wads of cash, but usually more challenging to get than the goals themselves. In fact, every goal rewards you with cash, so you will rack it up rather quickly. The cash is used to buy new decks, fully customise your tricks to any inputs, and finally, increase your stat points. Skateboarding at its core is all about expression and individualism. The customisation on display conforms to the ideals of the sport, so what better way to express yourself than with a custom character? This is my custom skater. I didn't really have a lot to work with. His name is Cluffle, which is a word that I made up, and hopefully not a slur of any kind. Just don't get offended, you big Cluffle. Including the creator skater, there are a total of 17 skaters to play as, with 3 of them being unlockable. But I think we all know which one is the best.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies, look out!
This is such out of left field, but I hope they pick even more obscure skaters in the future. Like, how funny would it be for each version of the game there was an exclusive character?
Lights out! Gorilla Radio! Turn that shit up!
It's hard to quantify how much of a quantum leap this game is in comparison to its predecessor. Landing tricks is easier, yet rewards more points for perfection. The momentum feels far more natural, being less sluggish. But all of that is negligible in comparison to the quality of the levels. Playing them concurrently with the first really emphasises how similar they are. For example, the hangar is just a better warehouse, New York is a better downtown, Philly is a better San Francisco, even if it still feels a little bit empty at times. The only way in which it seems like a downgrade is the absence of a downhill map like the mall. Disregarding that, there is a certain charm that just elevates Pro Skater 2 to new heights. Whether that's a bull in the bull ring competition or a homeless man to abuse, there is an extra polish to the design that's having me obsessing over increasing my scores, which I'll probably be doing for years to come. To unlock everything in the game, you're expected to beat it as every single skater. Now, I've got a full-time job, a relationship, and I don't want this video to take too long to make. I did it anyway, didn't I? Of course I did. 17 playthroughs, each run rewarding you with the exact same things as the first game, being a bail montage and a video of that particular skater. But also you get extra characters and cheat codes. Now the game analyst in me says that the repetition of the mechanics doesn't yield a satisfactory reward, but the juvenile child in me says, and look at that guy, he's really skinny, he's got a big head. I even tried playing the game like this until my eyes started bleeding. The reward you get for doing all the playthroughs does get you 2 brand new levels. These are cool designs, especially Skate Heaven, but I just don't care at this point. Maybe if they threw in some skate letters and a secret tape, I'd at least have something to do, but after 17 playthroughs of the game, I didn't feel like I wanted to spend a long period of time in these environments. So clearly, as you can tell, I'm sick of playing it for multiple hours and it's left me completely burnt out. Nah, this is still one of the best games I've played on the original PlayStation. In fact, I'd go as far to say as I would happily revert back to an old save and do this all over again. I said revert, didn't I? The revert is the final piece in the puzzle. Whereas the first game felt fairly balanced, the introduction of the manual heavily favoured street skaters, as those who excelled in vert skating couldn't keep a strong combo going. The revert is used when coming down from a ramp, which can be followed up with any trick, including a manual. So this means that with skill, you can keep a combo going seemingly indefinitely. This, along with the added balance meter, gives the player all the tools they need to create absurd combos. The other huge change added to the game should be obvious. The jump to the next generation of console meant that not only was this running at a smooth 60 frames per second, which is something that even some games today can't seem to do, but Tony Hawk actually looks like a person as opposed to a melting wax figure. Introducing a new game engine is risky, as you can easily ruin the feel of how it all plays. And don't get me wrong, it is different. There is more weight to the player, with inputs feeling so much more precise. I keep telling myself, wow, they've really nailed the controls this time, but then the next game comes along, somehow improving it. If all they did was refine the controls, I'd be pretty happy, but they did so much more. Now, one might think that Pro Skater 2 took place in a Mad Max-like apocalypse where only drivers survived. But look, now there's NPCs everywhere, injecting life into these environments, opening the door to a greater variety in goals. Watch as Darth Maul drowns, buries, and kills everyone he comes across, when he's not trying to impress some chicks with a 900. The only goal that really stuck out to me in the prior title was Ollie the Magic Bomb, so adding these goals like Unstuck Chuck in Canada or catching pickpockets in the airport are distinguished, yet don't take away from the core skateboarding gameplay. Even trick type goals have been refined, having divergent goals based on whether you're a street or a vert skater. The multiple playthroughs you'll have to do are now differentiated in a way that reduces repetition. There are even 4 potential locations for skate letters, decks, and skill points. The addition of skill points and decks replaced the cash system, which for me was perfect, because even if I got all the cash in Pro Skater 2, you still couldn't afford to buy all the tricks, which honestly hindered my experimentation. Now you can equip any trick you want straight off the bat, unlocking more trick slots as the game progresses. Progression is no different, so this could get stale, but it is just so refined. The levels can be altered like Los Angeles, where you can cause an earthquake paving the way to the secret tape. This dynamic diversification of the levels just bolsters their memorability. There honestly isn't a weak link in the chain. Canada has you grinding through a forest, Rio has this line to abuse, Suburbia has this weird man with an axe that just disappears into a fiery blaze, opening up a haunted house that you can skate through. Airport is just downhill levels perfected. LA is the first great final city level in the series so far, as it's condensed, having strong lines that cater to street and vert skating. And the cruise ship, holy shit, the cruise ship. It has so much style, including a museum to destroy, a pool to skate in, and the best rails to grind. I honestly cannot and will not stop gushing about how impeccable the design is. I could, and have, spent hours on Airport and the cruise ship. The unlockables are also just the best so far. Darth Maul, Wolverine, and obviously, one unlockable character I need to talk about from a previous game. Teenage boys, prepare yourself for a big sexy PS2 bum. Yeah! I love the menu that looks like a skate shop, and the guy who runs it acts differently dependent on who you end up choosing.
Yeah, check you out. Checking me out. Checking you out. Checking me out. I'm checking you out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I would say that there aren't so many memorable cheats in this one, but I can get over that due to the extra characters added, including the return of Cluffle. Not only can he finally transition if he wanted to, finally adding female as an option, but the options for what can be worn are greatly expanded. A tutorial is finally added, the creator park is better than the second game, which I forgot to mention. Though as you can tell by this video, I'm not particularly creative, so I didn't spend any time on this one. They've also added some retro maps from the first game. You've got 3 classic maps, Warehouse, Burnside, and Roswell? This was your choice? No mall, no school, no downhill jam, and there aren't even any goals, come on. Also, on a side note, Playing these levels again make me not want to play the first game in the series because these feel super basic, especially with the revert and the manual being added. These maps and characters are rewards for beating the game, as well as a lot of videos, including some pretty fun ones, like the dev team playing musical chairs, and honestly, seeing them have so much fun just further accentuates the passion that's poured in. Now, I'm no Gerald the 100%er, but I did do 4 playthroughs of the first game, I did 17 playthroughs of the second, and I did 22 playthroughs of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, which means for this one video that you're watching, I did a total of 43 playthroughs. And you know what? For all those hours I've put in, I loved every minute of it. I feel revitalised. I'm a fan of the Pro Skater series. I've been watching skateboarding at the Olympics, and I'm following all the skaters on Instagram. The power of these games are that they give you a slice of life of the culture. Despite how absurd and unrealistic some things are, I just want to learn more about the sport. And if anything, that just proves how fucking amazing these games are. Speaking of amazing, there is one integral part of the culture of skateboarding that is also integral to the series' identity, and that is, of course, the music. Now, I can't go through every single song, but if I had to highlight one, it would be from the first game. A track so synonymous with the series that when I told people that this was my next video, they responded with the lyrics to this tune. Superman by Goldfinger captures the vibe of the series, and though Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 doesn't have the best overall soundtrack, that I think goes to the second game, there will never be a time when Superman doesn't make me smile. The lyrics of getting older but feeling young not only applies to me, and I'm sure all of you watching, but it also applies to the skaters that are still crushing it even in their 50s. The perfect combination of rock, rap, and punk music is yet another thing that will always keep me coming back. I came into this never playing a Tony Hawk title, and genuinely this is one of my favourite series. I've been dealing with a lot of depression and negative thoughts, but little did I know it wasn't some deep story or atmospheric mood piece that helped me through it. Instead, it was a game series that's main focus is just pure, unfiltered fun. If you've never played a Tony Hawk game, I'd start at the beginning, but if you have played a Tony Hawk game, just do not start with the first one. It is so hard to go back after the improvements were made. But the sequels, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 and 3, have earned their places as true masterpieces.